Brian with ScreenFiles.com and my 2 cents. If you've been on the internet at all and you're into comic books, you notice that Venom, the movie released by Sony and directed by Ruben Fleischer, is doing particularly well at the box office. And so a lot of people take that to mean that Sony is going to no longer allow Marvel to have a license for Spider-Man. In other words, they're going to take Spidey back and take him out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's very possible. And I'd be amiss if I didn't mention that Sony, particularly revolving around superhero properties, is kind of known for doing really stupid things. That being said, I think Sony will sign up again to work with Marvel Studios with Spider-Man. And here's the reason why. First off, let's look at money. Money, money, money. Money talks. Money is all that matters in this instance. Spider-Man Homecoming earned almost $900 million, close to $1 billion, rebooted under Marvel Studios. Now, a reason why that happened is, first off, it was cast great. Tom Holland's a perfect Spider-Man, and they refreshed the franchise in a way that hadn't been done before. Granted, but part of the reason it did so well is that it was released by Marvel Studios. Let's be clear on that. People have come to recognize Marvel Studios as the state-of-the-art, the pinnacle, if you will, of comic book-based movies. That Marvel logo means something. And that it appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming literally contributed millions of dollars to that movie's total. And I mean that I haven't seen any study that proves it, but I think movie audiences are savvy, and I think it's 100% a fact. So now let's look at Sony. Venom is doing quite well. It's budgeted somewhere in a ballpark of somewhere between 100 and, I want to say $120 million. The exact figure is not quite known, at least as of yet. And it's going to certainly be profitable. But how profitable? Is Venom going to earn $500 million? Combined international and domestic box office? I would highly doubt it. It's possible, though it's unlikely. So, working with Marvel is certainly more profitable to Sony. Keep in mind something. Marvel doesn't make a thin dime, short of merchandising, off of producing Spider-Man movies for Sony. That goes in Sony's coffer. As I already said, Spider-Man Homecoming earned in a ballpark of $880 million. The sequel, Spider-Man Far From Home, I can promise you, will earn at least $900 to $1 billion when its run is finished. That's a hell of a lot of money. And keep in mind also that Spider-Man is buttressed by the other Marvel movies. Remember, Spider-Man appeared in Avengers Infinity War. So what Marvel is doing is promoting Spider-Man. And so Sony it's within their right to take that character back. Think of it this way. If Sony does, the first movie featuring Spider-Man and whomever, probably Venom, will do okay, no doubt about it. Until people realize it's not a part of the MCU. There's a huge audience who are interested in Spider-Man because he's part of the MCU. You take that away, and it might take them time to catch on, don't get me wrong. They don't read Superhero Hype, they don't read comicbookmovie.com, they don't read InItCoolNews.com. They don't know, necessarily, if Spider-Man is part of the MCU. They assume he is because he is now. In other words, if Sony takes Spider-Man out of the MCU, they're going to face a decline in profits. Venom's doing pretty well, as I've already mentioned. But the thing is, look at the reviews for this movie. It sounds like a mess. It has good and I haven't seen it, by the way, because I'm not a fan of Sony Spider-Verse movies, and I tend to avoid them. That being said, if you look at the reviews, the bulk of them seem to say that the movie is a mess. It has good moments, particularly Tom Hardy and his relationship with the symbiote, but on the whole, it's not a good movie. In fact, it can arguably be called a bad movie by certain metrics. And that's the point that Sony needs to understand. They lucked out with Venom. Venom, by all accounts, was not going to do well. The first trailer kind of panned, and the movie was very badly reviewed. That people are interested in the character tells you that they like Venom and Tom Hardy, in the case of the movie. Not necessarily what Sony is doing with them. They lucked out, in other words, with Venom. Will Venom 2 do as well? I'm not at all sure it will, though I can almost promise you this. Sony's going to up the budget on Venom 2. And if Venom 2 underperforms, that's a problem. While you have Spider-Man currently in the MCU, coming next in Spider-Man Far From Home, and that's got the strength, the aura of the MCU behind it. As I said, that will earn somewhere in the ballpark of $900 to $1 billion completing its run. Remarkable. Now, the question is, can Sony do that without Marvel Studios? I would argue they can't. And I would also argue that Sony knows it. Therefore, now keep in mind something. I mentioned also earlier that when Marvel Studios makes a Spider-Man movie, all the revenue goes to Sony. All of it. Now, keep in mind, that also means that Sony can't use that character in certain ways. And maybe they want to. But remember, it's the money that matters to them. So therefore, I think that Sony will be able to get over not using Spider-Man when they see those Benjamins flooding in from the $900 to $1 billion the sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming earns. And that's why Spider-Man and the deal that Sony Pictures has with Marvel Studios will be renewed. It's my opinion, but I think it's a damn good one. Let me know what you think. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and my 2 cents. Peace.